الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله الله أكبر الله أكبر
حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
I long for the old times, before the war. Damascus was a city that never slept. It was alive 24 hours a day.
Happy birthday to you. Make a wish.
That's the cultural centre in Duma. 3 or 4 guys, and my brother. They played hard rock. Yeah, hard rock. And metal. Yes, mixed. A lot of guys our age came to the shows. Most of them left the country. I took 2 things with me, a handful of soil and a scarf that belonged to my mother. This is the scarf from my mother. The last thing you see at the border is a sign saying Syria in all its diversity. You think back to a time before the war, when Syria was diverse, when no one asked you who you were or what you did. Passing the border, your heart pounds heavily, as if time is standing still. You can hear your heart beat. You're scared of your future, about your decision to leave. You think, go back, don't take this step. You hesitate.
نحن الآن في كراج قرخان طريق إلى أنقرة. طبعا لا يوجد حجز طيران لأن معظم السوريين والعراقيين أخذوا كل الحجوزات لمدة 3 أيام ولا يوجد حجز بالباصات. سنضطر للذهاب إلى أنقرة ومن أنقرة إلى أزمير.
When ISIS took over Deir al-Zor, they killed a lot of civilians, including my father. I was a student. I wanted to build up a life for myself. Suddenly, my life became a living hell. I did not really know which exact route I was going to take into Germany. There are so many ways to get there. All I knew in that moment was that I wanted to cross the sea to Greece. I wanted to film the entire journey, so I had to make sure that I always had enough batteries and SD cards.
آخر؟ يلا.
We went to one of those currency shops. It was in a basement in an alley, hard to find.
هلا حبيبي محمد حاتم. ايوه يا رفيقي 1800. تفضل حبيبي. تفضل عندنا رقمه طبعا.
They had about $2 million there, deposited by people to pay for the boat trip. It was very crowded, yet organised, like a Western Union office, but unofficial. In Izmir, I went to Basmani Square. That's where the traffickers are, like on Aksaray Square in Istanbul. All the refugees gather on Basmani Square with their bags and life jackets and floating tyres. Police walk around, but they don't do anything. It's a meeting point for refugees. I saw that the traffickers have two faces. The first time you meet them, they seem like nice guys. They say, the boat's good, it won't be too crowded.
السفينة إذا جاهزة يمكن أطالع في معي أربعة هلا مأمنين يمكن أربعة.
When you get to the boats, you get to see the evil face. You see their guns.
من أي بلد محل ما كنتوا لمدهليني 11 كيلو متر بحر.
قديش ياكلوا وقت بالقارب هذا؟
على الأقل شي ساعة ونص.
He says that he's helping people. And a lot of people do make it, but a lot drown.
ناس عم تغرق.
قصدك هي بتنقذ الواحد من الموت شيء إذا صار له شيء؟
أكيد لا.
يعني إذا الواحد راح نزل البحر فيه بضل عايش يعني إذا ضل لابس هاي؟
شغلة بيقدر بالعالمين.
اللي كنت عم فكر فيه.
I was really worried because of the traffickers.
ما بنعرف نحن مين اللي.
I did not know who they were. How can I trust these people who traffic humans?
بهدول الناس اللي عم يهربوا البشر.
اليوم إن شاء الله على 12.
I was a reporter and a documentary filmmaker. I was also an activist for civil rights, for the rights of women and children. I was threatened several times. I could not do my job. The situation got increasingly dangerous, which is why I left Afghanistan. I'd seen videos online, on Facebook, images recorded on the road. But most of the times, all you could see was the sea between Turkey and Greece. I did not know that I had to hike through the desert. I thought I just had to get into a car, illegally, of course, and be driven from one country to the next.
We didn't have much drinking water. It was a difficult road. I had never walked so far before. My feet kept sinking deep into the sand. This was a really difficult journey.
Due to the difficulty of this route, they separated the families from the young men. The families went one way, the young men another. I took over responsibility for Mujaba's safety. His father stayed with his mum, who was very ill. I thought we would reach Pakistan in a day, but night fell at some point. Since Mujaba was so small, I insisted he sits up front, next to the driver.
I was afraid the car was going to have an accident and we'd be hurt. I was just afraid that something bad was going to happen, that the police would come and arrest us.
They needed to drive fast enough to keep the police from catching up, or the security forces. In Izmir, they took us down to the sea. It was a closed truck. I filmed it.
لسه ما بينت لك انا طفيت الجي بي سي لحتى يطلع على الطريق العام. ايه صح
بأقطاب الأرض بعد.
ضلينا 3 ساعات نحن.
It took us 3 whole hours to get to the sea.
سيارة لياخذونا على البحر.
Those were a horrible 3 hours.
مرعبة.
المحاولة رقم 5 بعد تجهيز ما يسمى بالبلم انقضت علينا خفر السواحل. بعد محاولات مع المهرب تمت إعادتنا إلى الغابة القريبة هنا.
اجتماع المهربين لذيك الزاوية لتقرير مصير الشعوب.
عمل لي زوم للكاميرا عشان اعمل باي باي.
الشاب طالع انت معلم.
مرحبا كيفكم شو اخباركم؟
والله هذا
نحن طلعنا مع مهربين بسم الله ما شاء الله كزاي.
يا مورايك ويكان مدحريتي ملك يقررنا في غير من الساعة بيتي لك اسمها صحراء مغرت ودي
I used to work as a singer, and then I had to join the army, like all young men do, until I left my homeland. The time had come for me to leave. We were a couple of friends who knew each other and decided to leave together. When I embarked on the journey, I thought either we will be lucky or we're putting ourselves in danger. The chances are 50-50. I decided to do it anyway. Images like that are stuck in my head because I'm one of those who fled and survived. I thought, maybe I'll die, but if I make it, I can make a better life for myself in a place where my human rights are respected. It was with that feeling of hope that I set out. We found some traffickers and set off with them on foot. Then 3 Toyotas appeared. We thought they were the Libyan traffickers approaching, but suddenly they started to shoot. Were they from the secret police? Were they bandits? We didn't know to begin with, but it turned out they were bandits.
شنو في جيبك اخرى؟ ها؟ شنو في جيبك اخرى؟ كم فتشك؟ هذا مطبخ. وين ده؟ شنو هذه؟ كم فيها؟ شنو في جيبك؟ ولا شيء. ها؟
We had to stand in line and got searched. They went through our clothes, watches, jewellery, mobile phones. They took away everything. Then they got on the phone and worked out a deal with the traffickers. The traffickers had to pay to pass through the area. After 3 days, we arrived at the Libya-Sudan border. Here's what I recorded. We waited for the Libyan traffickers, spent several nights there.
Okay. حبيت ألقيكم كذا إذا مكاني. عاري. هو إذا مرتس عينت. ليش عملتين؟ مربوطة إيه. مش يعني تقولنا قدام. كم سبات ليبي.
2 days before we got to the border, I started to take videos. I recorded everything on this mobile phone. I used a razor to slit a hole in the seam of my hood. When they search us, they'll just check my pockets, and they won't find the phone. The video says it all. I think it speaks for itself.
بس اترافقكم هنا اترافقكم قواتي هذه ولا ما غيرنا كندينا كي امنوا انا اكتم كنا رحلوا قومي لو ناس الذي امننا هنا وكلنا
This video was shot at Kerman. When we got there, they took us to a room where they housed refugees until it was time to move to the next place.
We were locked in there for 4 days and nights. They gave us one piece of bread between 2 people. The door was always locked. It was really dirty there, and I got sick. We weren't allowed to use the toilet until we really started screaming.
After 4 days in that house in Ban, about 3 in the morning, they took us to a car. In that Peugeot, we got taken to a bus. We thought we'd be able to sit inside, just like the other passengers, but that was not the case. Once we were inside, they opened a hatch and ordered us to climb down. We didn't have a choice. Then they closed the hatch behind us. It was pitch black. I turned on the small light on my phone and saw only a small hole to let the air in. We were inside an empty fuel tank. It still smelled of gasoline. Everyone was breathing through that small hole. Mujaba, myself, and 2 others. Is that the fuel tank in the bus?
Yes, that's the tank. There were 4 of us. We could hardly breathe. I drew this picture of it. That's my uncle and me and the 2 other guys. There were 4 of us. This was our last night in Tehran. My sister asked us, what should I cook for you? We said kabeli palo from Kabul. We really love it. In the mornings, we were afraid to go to school. And in the afternoons, afraid to return home. The Taliban mistreated the educated girls. I started to do some research about my escape on the internet. It told you everything, but I had no other choice. A man wanted to marry me. He was over 30 years old. He threatened my father and said if my father did not hand me over, he'd kidnap me on the way to school. The situation was hopeless. I would never have thought that I would be separated from my mother at such an early age.
اینم خوابگاه سر مرز جان ترکیه بگو باشه محبوبه حابیل همیچقالو و تمام.
While we were heading for the border, one of the traffickers made fun of us. He said, "If one of you falls over the edge, we don't have to take care of you." We walked on foot. I was so exhausted. I couldn't walk anymore. My uncle carried me on his back until I could walk again. We couldn't say anything at all because the traffickers were armed, all of them. You cannot say anything. It is like being on a one-way street or in a swamp. The harder you try to pull yourself out, the deeper you sink into it. We just couldn't get out.
They hardly allowed us to stop and take breaks. They said we had to keep going, so we wouldn't be shot at. We could only take short breaks for about 5 minutes.
اینجا کجاست؟ نمیفهمم بابا این درست دیگه چی میدونه شب آوازای نمی سو بیلارش بندی رده نفرها از پای من
There were a lot of refugees when I got to Turkey, Afghans and other nationalities. They helped me to find a trafficker to get us on to Greece.
مشنوی سبا در وقت بار کردن گفت زنگ
When I was little, I always dreamed of playing by the sea. The feeling was a different one when I stood at the shore for the first time. I looked out at the sea and thought, only God knows how many refugees have drowned in these waters.
Some people started inflating the boats. I wanted to turn back, but the traffickers had knives and guns.
إلى اليونان
There were too many of us in the boat. Most of the people sat in the middle, at the feet of the others. I was here, and here was my uncle. I was afraid we'd sink.
After half an hour, I started to worry. We were out on the water. I could see the island already, but I had the feeling the sea was getting broader. Then I had an idea. I decided to record a message.
كيفك يا عمو؟ الله يخلينا اياك يا رب. انت وابي اخواتي. انا كثير مشتاق لكم كثير كثير. دعاويكم هي ها؟ شوفوا البحر.
خليه يشوف ناس تثبت شوي شوي شوي. ايوه
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طبعا احنا هلا في اليونان. انتوا اكيد شفتوا معنا اللي صار والمشاكل اللي صارت. يلا يا زلمة معين.
We continued in these vehicles. There were 32 people squeezed into one. It was really hard for us. We were crammed in there. You squeeze in there, one person sits next to another, and another one on top, like sardines in a can.
اعرفوا ده شعر كانوا كلاك جبرانو
They don't care if someone falls off. It went on like that. After 2 days, they told us to get out. In the middle of a wide open plain, the traffickers took off. Until then, it had been bearable. We still had a little water, but then we ran out of water. There was no one to help us. The sun was beating down, people were passing out. I did too.
يلا يا شباب بدنا نخلص من مقدونيا.
You join up with other groups. You just go along with them, even if you didn't know whether they were headed in the right direction. Often a police officer will point out the direction, or the train track does. You must trust them, because you don't have GPS, Everyone's going in the same direction, so you do too.
مشوا العالم كلياتهم مشيت.
احكي جوان احكي شو شعورك وانت فايت على صربيا؟
هاي البقرة كمان عم تساعدنا وليك يعني البقرة كمان حتى البقرة جايبة الاستقبال.
صلي عم يمشي على حدود مقدونيا وصربيا بس انا لساتني بسوريا.
دور تجيبهم من اللغة أنا عادة ما تولفنا
There were a lot of Eritreans who'd gotten there before us.
طرابلس نكيد نتبادلنا لما عندنا غير نغينا إن شاء الله براز لنا بوي لنا زعل حماينا لنا.
This is where the refugees are brought from different trafficker groups. You pay the money in Abu Dhabi.
هو 150 نقولين يحول سنسلسن كرماجي قالهم تزدوا له خبو تعالي تشك يساقنا لخب ጭንቀቲና እንሳደለና ያ ጀማዓ ጽቦ ሀሊና ይኮና ዛለለና ያገዛ ትራብለስ ኮይና ዓዝ መጋዚነይ መዝራዕን ዝብሎ ኣብዚ ደታ ሓወለ ሕጂ ንባሕርን ንምኻድ ተዳሊሎ ማለት እዩ هو تغشف على حمامة
They beat you because you can't pay the demand sum to the traffickers. Families have to sell their houses, ask neighbours, sell everything they own to raise enough money. If you don't pay, you can't just return home. Where do you want to go? You're trapped by bandits. When the boat started taking on water, we had to start bailing it out. We thought we were just delaying our own deaths. We figured we were going to die anyway.
موتنا يناوي حزول ده أمبر مماتو أيترفوني.
لا أدري أنا عطاي مركب ستة قاعد نالا. وضلنا المركب. جماري لا خدو مسكانا ساينا ونحرر مسكانا نهرب مسكانا يقداني يسوس بيتنا إذا ذكرنا ناخذ مسكانا انتهينا ونهرب مسكانا نهرب مسكانا يقداني يسوس بيتنا إذا ذكرنا ناخذ مسكانا انتهينا ونهرب مسكانا نهرب مسكانا.
مثل ما احنا شايفين هلا هون ووتر. ثانك يو. شكرا. Good afternoon. Take. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thanks a lot. موزة ونيت مي.
بالفترة اللي نحن أخذناها
The Hungarian border was closed at that time.
كانت هنغاريا
Hungarians had put up a big fence.
بناء السياج الضخم تبعها.
وهي كرواتيا الخضراء. This is Croatia. أخي هاك سيلفي. وصربيا صارت خلفي هلا. والسلام. ستوب.
الحدود
The Croatian border. Here you see the large crowd.
مين مسكر الحدود؟ كرواتيين؟ هذول الصرب يمكن. ما بعرف.
يعني العدد زاد.
There were over 1,000 people. These people got impatient, waiting for more than 8 hours. They demonstrated, shouting, "Open, open."
أول ما وصلنا على كرواتيا كانت
When we got to Croatia, it was total chaos.
كتير عالم كتير كان.
People were exhausted and got really angry. The authorities had blocked off the train station. They told us to go over there and wait. The crowd kept getting bigger and bigger.
شو صار معه؟ هاي بعد قوم خي قوم. قوم سيلوت منين جات نكمل بس احنا ما نريد نرجع.
There was not enough transportation for everyone. We waited for the train for 2 days. There was no stopping them. People rushed the train. Some climbed in through the windows, like you see here. I tried to get in. I also wanted to get out of here. I was also exhausted.
لوين رايحين هلا؟
ألمانيا يا ألمانيا صحيح بتغني؟ ألمانيا تهريب ألمانيا ما صدق من تركيا
من هونيك إلى تنسى فينا نلجأ لفرنسا أو نتسلبط على النمسا أو نهرب على أوكرانيا.
فبتحسي الغنية هيك
This song was like an anthem for us. Off to Passau and nowhere else.
يا ألمانيا ألمانيا تهريب على ألمانيا ما زفر من تركيا من إسبانيا.
We didn't know where the train was headed, but then we turned on the GPS and discovered we were going to Austria. Then, over the loudspeaker, we heard, "Welcome to Austria," in Arabic. That was the most beautiful moment of the whole journey. It was the first time we'd heard the word welcome. When we got there, I changed clothes. I looked sharp. I said to myself, I'm going to be in Germany in a few hours.
الله يسلمك.
يلا يا شباب لا تمشوا على الطريق العام مثل الألمان خلوكن يعني.
استغربت إنه
I was amazed to see that the border post was like a little gas station near the highway, next to the normal street, unlike the other borders I'd seen. It was almost elegant. Just a gas station.
حدود ألمانيا ونمسا هيك جازية بس الفرق بيناتهم.
ألمانيا ترحب بكم.
تحسي حالك عم
You feel like you're passing through a wall.
عم تخترقي جدار زمني.
All these fences that people have created and put up.
السياجات الوهمية اللي
But for
اخترعها.
one moment, it was like the fences came down for us.
خلص يعني قدام اللاجئين انهارت. Guten Morgen. Laufen.
Hallo, wie geht's dir? Mir geht's gut. Auch gut.
Hallo. كم حلو الكسب مالتي.
Now I can live like a free person. I can taste life again.
حدا سب كم سب كس سنفس زخل تنفس درجة خلنا سنفس كينا مالتي حجي.
توبا
Ich bin Mohammed. Hallo. Hallo, Lama.
آدم بر فیدیو زدیم دیگه دوستایمون رفتن خانه یخشون زد ما میرم دیگه مرم یخ زده